Some moments in history, they echo way beyond the battlefield. They're not just stories about who won or who lost. They're these profound, timeless lessons that get etched into our collective human experience. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most powerful of these, the wisdom that comes from the Battle of Uhud.
So, what's fascinating is that the divine response to the events at Uhud doesn't even start by dissecting the battle. Nope, it starts right here, with this sweeping, bird's-eye view of all of human history. And the message here is huge. These cycles of good times and bad times, of victory and defeat, they're a universal law. What just happened to you? It's happened before.
And really, that one idea changes everything. It reframes what feels like a total failure into a chance to learn and to grow. So this isn't just about a battle. It's about the wisdom you find inside a really painful but really necessary lesson. Okay, so the very first step in healing the wounds from Uhud was to remind the believers of what are known as the Sunan, which are basically these unchangeable universal laws that kind of govern how nations rise and fall throughout all of history. You can almost think of this history lesson as a kind of therapy. By showing the believers that, hey, other nations have gone through immense struggles too, it became what's described as a truly wonderful consolation. It was a powerful way of saying, you are not alone in this struggle. This is all part of a much, much bigger divine plan. So once that bigger picture is set, the focus shifts. It zooms in from the what happened to the really tough question, why? Why was this allowed to happen? And this is the question at the heart of it all, isn't it? If you believe you're on the side of truth, why would you suffer such a devastating blow? It's a question that really cuts to the core of your faith and pushes the limits of your understanding.
And right here, we get a foundational answer. Victory, it's not a permanent state. This verse explains that days of good and bad, of success and struggle, are given to people by turns. It's a universal law, and it serves a much, much greater purpose.
So this turn of events, it wasn't random. It had these really specific, multi-layered goals. First up, it was a test designed to purify the believers. Second, it was a means to grant some the ultimate honor of martyrdom. And third, it was a way to reveal the hypocrites who are hiding in the ranks, which, in the long run, actually makes the community stronger and more sincere. And the word for test here is so deep. It's not just about a trial. It's also about purification. Think about it like refining gold. You have to put it through the fire, right? The intense heat burns away all the impurities, all the junk, and what comes out is something pure, strong, and way more valuable. That was the whole point of this wound. All right, so now let's get to the moment on the battlefield itself, the mistake, the human error that turned the tide of the entire battle and gave us one of its most critical lessons.
This verse just lays it all out. It's like a laser-focused diagnosis of what went wrong. A group of archers were placed on a strategic hill by the prophet himself, with one simple, strict command: do not move, no matter what. But then, they saw the battle turning in their favor, they saw the spoils of war down below, and they started to argue about the order, lost their nerve, and left their post.
And the lesson here, wow, it's just so clear, and it's been relevant for centuries, in war, in business, in anything. It's a stark reminder that it doesn't matter how close you are to winning. A little bit of internal fighting, a moment of greed, and ignoring clear leadership, it can all fall apart in a blink of an eye.
So after a mistake that big and a defeat that painful, you'd probably expect a really harsh dressing down, right? But what actually happens next is just this incredible masterclass in psychology, in leadership, and in divine mercy.
And the principle is so wise. It's all about how you correct someone. It has to match their state of mind, their state of heart. Someone who's riding high on victory might need to be brought back down to earth, reminded to be humble. But someone who's already defeated, who's feeling broken and grieving, well, they need something totally different. And you can see this play out perfectly when you compare two different moments. After the big win at Badr, the community made a mistake concerning prisoners of war, and boom, they got a serious warning. Why? To keep them from getting arrogant. But here, after Uhud, when everyone's spirit is crushed, the response is the complete opposite. It's all about gentle forgiveness, designed to heal their sorrow and lift them back up.
And just check out the timing on this. It's incredible. In the exact same verse that points out their disobedience, the sentence turns on a dime and ends with, "But surely he forgave you." The forgiveness wasn't held back. It came right then and there, at their lowest point, showing that when hearts are broken, mercy comes before blame. And that brings us to the final big picture lesson here.
The lens pulls back one more time, connecting the believers at Uhud to this long, unbroken chain of faith and resilience that stretches all the way back through human history.
They are basically told, look at the people who came before you. So many prophets and their followers. They fought and they faced unbelievable hardships. But through all those calamities, they never weakened, they never lost heart, and they never ever gave up. They are the timeless model for how to endure.
So what did they do when disaster struck? It wasn't complaining, it wasn't despair, it was this prayer. And look at the order. First, they ask for forgiveness for their own mistakes. Then, they ask for steadfastness, to just be able to stand firm. And only after all of that do they ask for victory. So at the end of the day, this is the ultimate takeaway from Uhud. It's a timeless blueprint for resilience. The way forward after any failure is to first look in the mirror with humility, then plant your feet with patience, and finally, turn to God with prayer. That is the formula for turning any defeat into a future victory.
The lessons of Uhud really leave us with a question for ourselves, don't they? When we face our own trials, when the days inevitably turn against us and we feel that sting of defeat, what's our first move? Do we fall into despair? Or do we, like those before us, try to find our footing in forgiveness, patience, and prayer? The answer defines everything.